In April 2020, first year in the mountains of southern Albania, in the area of a small village Leskovicu, local shepherds spotted a strange depression in the hillside, opened after unusually heavy spring rains. Coming closer, he saw the entrance to the cave, whom he said never been there before. Earthen stones collapsed, and a narrow passage came to light, going deep into the mountain. Shepherd man, reasonable and careful, did not go inside, reported the find to local authorities. In a few days, there was a group of Albanian archaeologists, and what they saw in the first camera forced them to call the international team immediately, specialists. So the story began, which in the last 5 years is gradually changing our view of ancient history. The Balkans on early European civilizations and how small a part of reality is. What we call a famous story. Today I will talk about a few amazing finds in Albania, which in aggregate force scientists to rethink chapters of school textbooks. Why it is a small Balkan country? Unexpected, the focus of the world scientific community. To understand the importance of what happened, though, need to say a few words about Albania. It's a small mountain country in the west of Balkan, peninsulas on the coast of the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. Its history is formally known from the ancient period. Illyrian tribes lived here. Then the Greeks came, then the Romans, then Byzantines, then the Turks. Each era left their monuments. Albanian museums are rich in finds from all these periods. But how often happens with mountain countries? Many areas of Albania are almost unexplored archaeologically. Difficult relief, hard-to-reach mountain valleys. The absence of systematic excavations all this led to. Large parts of the country actually remained white spots on the archaeological map. And it is from these white spots in recent years news started coming, making scientists wonder more and more. First amazing find, that same cave in the area of Leskovicu. When Albanian archaeologists went inside, they ended up in a big natural hall with smooth vaults and flat floor. And on that floor, there were dozens of ceramic vessels of different shapes and sizes, richly decorated with fine painting. The style of painting was characteristic of the Bronze Age, about 3,500 years ago. That in itself was a wonderful discovery. A large, unlooted treasure of pottery of that period in Albania, previously not found. But the main surprise was not the ceramics themselves and its contents. In several vessels remains organic substances, dried fruit, nuts, grains, charred pieces of bread. Radiocarbon analysis confirmed the age of the finds. And what's interesting, some of the plants found still haven't been documented. For this region, in the Bronze Age, that is bronze, residents of southern Albania grew or imported crops that no one knew about before. This discovery reverses the idea of early agricultural relations between the Balkans and the Eastern Mediterranean. Now scientists are trying to understand where exactly did these plants come from in Albania, from Greece, from Asia Minor, or maybe from North Africa. The second important find occurred at 2020, second year in Lake Ohrid area, on the border of Albania and northern Macedonia. Here is a group of underwater archaeologists from the following lake bottom discovered the remains of an ancient settlement, submerged underwater as a result, lake level several thousand years ago then. That under Ohrid can be flooded. Archaeological sites. Scientists have long assumed, but the scale of the found exceeded all expectations. Underwater found a whole village on stilts, consisting of a dozen residential buildings, workshops, and warehouses. Wooden piles perfectly preserved thanks to anaerobic conditions of the lake floor. Where there is no oxygen, the tree does not rot for thousands of years. Radiocarbon dating showed about 8,500 years old. That means that the Ohrid pile settlement is one of the oldest in Europe. Older than many famous alpine pile settlements. Older Neolithic settlements of Greece. Older, most known agricultural crops of the continent. And in it, scientists find ceramic products, tools, textile elements, food residues that show surprisingly high levels, technological and social, development for such an ancient era. This means that at the very origins of European civilization, the Balkan region occupied a much more important place than intended. The third interesting find is related to the mountain range, Orbi Planina in northeastern Albania. Here, local explorers in 2020, third year, discovered a series of cave paintings in hard-to-reach caves. Nothing sensational at first glance. Cave paintings in Europe are known in many places. But the uniqueness of Albanian drawings is in their plot and style. They depict scenes very reminiscent of those what meet in rock art. Anatolia and northern Sopots. Geometric patterns. Stylized images of animals. Complex compositions with a clear symbolic load. Age, according to preliminary dating, about 6,000 years. This means that in southern Albania in the Neolithic era, cultural contacts with the regions, lying much further east. Scientists discussed different hypotheses. Is this a direct migration? Was there an exchange of ideas through a number of intermediate cultures? Or we are talking about a common cultural root, going back to even more ancient times? Each of these hypotheses has a right to exist, and each requires additional research. For today in the mountains, plan and ball fixed for more than a dozen individual caves with similar drawings, and their cataloging continues. The fourth find belongs to the ancient period. In 2024 year, in the area of the ancient city of Apollonia, founded by modern Greek colonists in the 6th century BC during planned excavations, was discovered. Previously unknown temple complex. The discovery of a new ancient temple is not unusual for such a rich archaeological area. But the contents of the temple turned out amazing. Inside preserved bronze figurines, which by style do not belong to any of the famous ancient schools. They are not Greek, not Roman, not Illyrian in its purest form. This is some kind of synthesis, and very graceful, and very distinctive. Archaeologists suggest that these figurines could have been made by local craftsmen, trying to combine introduced Greek traditions. Own style, before the arrival of the colonists, is a new, previously undescribed micro-style of ancient art, and his study is just beginning. Possibly in a few years, history and art textbooks will have a new chapter about Iller Greek synthesis, a school that actually existed, but which we knew nothing about until recently. The fifth find is related to something completely unexpected: ancient observatory in the mountains of central Albania, near the city of Berat. In 2023 year, local researchers noticed a strange stone construction, which locals have used as a reference point for centuries. For shepherds, the design was a circle from vertically standing stones, located on a hill, with superb horizon view. Archaeologists attracted specialists to the work of archaeoastronomers, studying astronomical knowledge of ancient cultures. Analysis showed that the stones are oriented strictly at sunrise points, during the summer and winter solstice, and also on equinox days. That is, in front of us was a functioning ancient observatory. Radiocarbon analysis of organic residues found in the base of the structure gave an age of about 4,500 years. That means that Albanian observatory is comparable in age with Stonehenge, and she was built culture. Modern science knows almost nothing. This opening flips the level of astronomical knowledge of prehistoric societies of the Balkans and confirms observation of the sky was the common property of many ancient European cultures. Sixth find, perhaps one of the most emotional. At 2020, fifth year in the area of the southern Albanian town of Gjirokastra, while renovating an old Ottoman fortress, workers discovered a hidden back masonry cavity, in which lay a bundle with parchment documents. The documents are extremely ancient, Byzantine period, approximately the 11th century, and one of them had a map of the Balkans of that time, details of the settlements, roads of rivers and mountain passes, is a unique mapping source. Until this point, maps of the Balkans of the Byzantine period, historians had no such detail. Map, let's see. How exactly were located in the 11th century? Numerous small Byzantine settlements, many of which have long since disappeared. Historians compare this finding to the discovery unknown chapter of medieval European atlas. Decoding the map has been going on for several years, and each new reading brings new details. Some names of settlements on this map before still failed to compare with modern toponyms. This means that there are still many years of hard work ahead. Comparative analysis. Seventh find most recently. 2026 year, and she's still being studied in low-key mode. In Durrës Old Port area, during underwater surveys found a sunken ship, supposedly Roman period. Very well preserved in Howell. Amphorae found on board. Cargo remnants, personal belongings of the team, and what is especially valuable, navigation devices, made with great precision. This is a unique opportunity to study maritime Roman Empire. In the Eastern Adriatic, underwater archaeologists work extremely carefully because any sloppy movement can damage fragile artifacts lying at the bottom, almost 2,000 years. Full exploration of this ship will take many more years. But even the first reports already show that find is significant, expands our understanding of Roman trade and shipbuilding. We see exactly how sailors lived and worked, whose names have long been erased from historical chronicles, but whose personal belongings are now seeing the light again. Every such item, it's a little window into people's daily lives of the distant past. What unites these 7 finds? First of all, then, that each of these were made in Albania, in the country, which has long been considered an archaeological periphery. Turns out not, is under this small square. Only 28,000 square kilometers. Is hiding amazing wealth of archaeological material, covering many millennia. And every new find adds to our overall picture of the past touches, which 20 years ago, no one could have predicted. Albanian scientists today believe that the country is at the beginning of a long period of active archaeological discoveries. If the pace of research continues, in the next 10, 20 years we can wait for new amazing finds. Every mountain valley, every coastal section, every rock cave potentially keeps their secrets. And this gives the work of archaeologists a special excitement. What amazes me most about this story is that how much our picture of the past depends on where systematic archaeological work is carried out. Long-time focus of scientists, focused on several well-studied regions. Greece, Italy, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and it created a feeling, centers of ancient civilizations, long known and well described. But once archaeological attention shifts to less studied areas, Albania, Northern Macedonia, Bulgaria, Kosovo, turns out there were rich people in ancient times, culturally active societies, leaving their own monuments. And these monuments are no less interesting, well-known cultural centers. Just no one has explored them yet, and so every decade brings new discoveries, turning individual pages of tutorials. This process never stops. And this is the main beauty of archaeology as a living, breathing scientific discipline. History books are not a closed book, a living document, which is added every year. Modern Albanian archaeology, working closely with the international scientific community, French, Italian, Greek, American, British researchers, work in Albania as part of joint expeditions. Albanian public authorities created a special program to support archaeology and actively invest in the restoration and preservation of finds. New laboratories opened, museum expositions updated, educational programs are implemented for locals and young scientists. This is that job which usually does not attract the attention of the general public, but exactly she is in the long run, and determines the success of scientific research. When in 10 years, finds in Albania will be written in school textbooks of the whole world. Behind these articles will stand decades of patient, methodical devotional work. And for this work is worth appreciating today. Without this invisible daily activity, no sensational discoveries would be possible. And the last thing I want to say, every find, which I told today, this is the result of years of patient work. No sensations, no hasty conclusions. Scientists working with these objects speak neatly. We have amazing data. We have hypotheses. We continue research. Exactly this scientific restraint, in my opinion, deserves the most credit. And it is she who ultimately leads to genuine discoveries, changing our understanding of the past. Albania today. This might be the clearest example of that, like a small country with a rich but poorly researched history, maybe unexpected, to be in the center of world scientific attention, and maybe one of those who is listening to this video now, in 20 years will be the same researcher, who will make the next great discovery in Albanian land. Because Earth, which we know about how everything seems to us, actually still holds a huge amount of secrets, waiting for their hour. And the more patient we are with these mysteries, the more generously they open up to us.